And we're doing a lot at Gurney in the area of technology, but what I wanted to talk to you about tonight was one of our bigger initiatives that we have at Gurney, and that's the iPod Touch Lab. We have about 35 iPod Touches now in a mobile cart, and the teachers sign them out. They sign out whole class sets or just a few depending on the project they're going to work on. Part of information that I want to share with you today is how we were able to purchase these iPod Touches. Mrs. Halligan, Sherry Halligan, will talk to you a little bit about the lab tonight, but she wrote a grant for this a few years ago actually, and it was through her persistence and continued submission of this grant to different places that Mr. Hunt finally found for us the perfect foundation to help this project come to fruition. And our grant was funded by the Tony Family Foundation. Our connection to this foundation is Mrs. Annie Amata. This is her family. She lives in Chagrin Falls. She has 2 sons here in the district. Hamden is a first grader here with us tonight, and her older son Alex is in 6th grade. She's always been an active parent volunteer in our school, so working with her family through this foundation was just perfect and really exciting for us. Mrs. Amata and her family created this foundation to support organizations dedicated to making positive changes for children and their families. A sample of some of the organizations the Tony Foundation has supported besides our school project: they've supported Autism Speaks, Junior Achievement, National Multiple Sclerosis Society, Flashes of Hope, and so on. The Tony Foundation has dedicated their efforts to focus on children's issues, education, healthcare, and social services. So even after receiving this grant, we can't believe how fortunate we were to find this foundation willing to support such a great initiative in our school. So then the question was, why iPod Touches, and what gave Sherry Halligan the interest in using these in our classrooms at Gurney. So I'm going to turn it over to Sherry to talk for a few minutes about that.
Benefits to using iPod Touches. Well, everyone's getting smartphones and everyone's moving towards the touch screen technology, and putting that technology right in the hands of the kids, I think, was a really important move. In fact, when you hand those iPods to the kids, they are just uninhibited and go for it, and they know 10,000 times more than we do even how to use them. So they are unafraid. Like, we adults are so afraid to make a mistake, and they're not afraid at all. So that's awesome that they don't have that fear of technology. But some of the benefits for iPod Touches is it gives immediate feedback. If you're working on an app or you're practicing your math facts, it immediately, right in your hand, tells you if you're correct or incorrect, and helps you to find the right answer if you're doing something like fact fluency. We have found some apps where the kids can actually practice their handwriting right on the screen, and it helps guide them through their cursive or their manuscript letters. It's definitely motivating. It's definitely student-centered. It really speaks to a lot of those 21st century skills that we talk about being so necessary for our kids in this current world that we live in. We found lots of really cool things. iTunes alone, there's iTunes U, where like you can find math lessons. We did a math lesson where it taught the kids the lesson, and then there were actually questions, so made a little worksheet, went along with it, and then it gave them the answers when they were done with that worksheet. So again, just that frequent and that immediate feedback, and it's right there going in their ears without any distractions around them. Benefits to using iPod Touches. Well, everyone's getting smartphones and everyone's moving towards the touch screen technology, and putting that technology right in the hands of the kids, I think, was a really important move. In fact, when you hand those iPods to the kids, they are just uninhibited and go for it, and they know 10,000 times more than we do even how to use them. So they are unafraid. Like, we adults are so afraid to make a mistake, and they're not afraid at all. So that's awesome that they don't have that fear of technology. But some of the benefits for iPod Touches is it gives immediate feedback. If you're working on an app or you're practicing your math facts, it immediately, right in your hand, tells you if you're correct or incorrect, and helps you to find the right answer if you're something like fact fluency. We have found some apps where the kids can actually practice their handwriting right on the screen, and it helps guide them through their cursive or their manuscript letters. It's definitely motivating. It's definitely student-centered. It really speaks to a lot of those 21st century skills that we talk about being so necessary for our kids in this current world that we live in. We've found lots of really cool things. iTunes alone, there's iTunes U where like you can find math lessons. We did a math lesson where it taught the kids the lesson, and then there were actually questions, so we made a little worksheet, went along with it, and then it gave them the answers when they were done with that worksheet. So again, just that frequent and that immediate feedback, and it's right there going in their ears without any distractions around them.
Good evening, this is Marie Kanzinger, one of our kindergarten students at Gurney. You click on your choice, uppercase or lowercase, and then it will take you to fine motor practice. You'll be practicing your numbers, you'll be practicing uppercase letter formation, you'll be practicing lowercase letter formation. Go ahead, show them letter formation.
And like you touch the crab, and you follow the numbers, and then you draw it, and then it says the word.
Oh, look at that. How cool is that?
Part of Word Cup.
Well, first you click on the triangle, then you press the triangle. You have to touch like any letter, and then you have to touch it as fast as you can.
It tells you a letter to touch, and then you need to touch it as fast as you can. And it'll keep going. You have to keep going faster and faster.
You're not competing against each
Other
other.
immediate feedback. If you don't touch the right one, it'll keep going for
And
you.
then you'll pop bubbles or hearts.
Hi, I have two first grade boys and the first one, and we're doing math apps. Kind of goes with our course of study, it hits our benchmarks, it really helps the kids with fluency. This is Camden Amato that's going to teach you the first math app.
And then you want to hit one of these number sentences. And then it's going to tell you it. And you can see the number sentence at the top. And all the answers are down here, and you have to answer it. You press on the number sentence, like 7, 1 is 6, and then you press what it equals, and it equals 1, so you press on the bubble that's 1.
This is Tolik, and he's a very big advocate of technology, one of his favorite topics. And tonight he's going to be demonstrating two apps. One is going to be a math app called Pattern Recognition, second grade, that went along very well with our pattern unit. And the second one is Spell Blocks, which I've used in our pause group to help with spelling and sight word building.
You click on that, and then there's a whole bunch of, and then there's a pattern, and basically, like I told you, you either double tap it, or you drag it, and I'm gonna do both. That's the double tap, and now I'm gonna do the drag. And the way you put it is you drag the letters to the correct spot, and if you get one wrong, it just makes a sound and then just goes back to the bottom.
This is Gwen Felton, and in our class we had just gotten done studying the planets in the solar system with our new Literacy by Design program. So our class decided to break up into 8 groups and each research one of the planets. And with that, we also created a book to go along with our podcast that the kids or teachers can follow along with as they're listening to the podcast. If you also go back in the playlist, you can see that other teachers have done playlists. Like Mrs. Halligan's class, I know, did some fluency practice back in October with some Halloween poems. Some of the teachers and I in the Digital Academy group that works with Mrs. Halligan did a BFG podcast that's out there. So there's a lot of different podcasts out there that the kids can listen to. And we also download some that they can listen to and learn different things from. So.
And Gwen, tell them, how did they make that podcast? What did you have to do?
What were the steps we took?
We first we had to research it, and then we made a book about it too. And with that book, we made a podcast.
They broke in their groups. They decided who was going to speak. If one person was going to do all the talking, or if they were going to split it among the three of them and try to separate the sentences out. And then they had to practice and practice and practice until they were fluent. And then we used the iMac, or the MacBook, right? And we used a program called GarageBand, and we were able to record them. So I would hold them a group at a time, and they would just stand in front of the computer and record their podcast. And then I'd go to the next group, and we'd keep going.
Did you learn
Any questions?
Did you learn as a teacher how to do this all through Digital Academy?
Yes. Yeah, if it wasn't for Digital Academy, I would not know what I was doing. Mrs. Halligan has been a big help with this and showing me how to do it. So this is great. The kids love it.
One of the great things about the podcasts I know is one of the third grade classes, it might have been yours, Sherry, did podcasts of Halloween poems. And then all the other classes in the school, I know in particular Mrs. Dugach's kindergarten class got to listen to the third graders reading Halloween poems, and they just loved that. Hearing other students and the big kids on the iPod touches was really neat.
Okay. Thank you.
Those are all the student presentations we have for the iPod touches tonight, but we do have one more little presentation. Mr. Lathrop would like to share with you just a few of the apps we use in the special education department. So we have some apps that are great for interventions or accommodations for students, and he has 3 of them in particular that he's going to show tonight, one being a speech app, but the other 2 are from intervention specialists.
Thank you. The first app I'm going to show you, it's actually not an app, it's part of the actual software on the iPods, and it's a student daily schedule for a student that we have on that has autism. So just a little background, a lot of the students with autism spectrum disorder need to follow visual schedules, and in the past they've had huge notebooks that have had picture icons and to help map out their daily routines. As we know, that's not really socially appropriate to be walking down the hall with this big notebook full of Velcro and pictures, and they're cumbersome, they're hard to manipulate, things get lost. So what I'm going to show you is something that isn't on all the iPods because we have designed it specifically for each student that needs that particular schedule. So I'm just going to kind of show you real quick what it looks like. Obviously having a small iPod is more socially acceptable, easier to transport. It's not as, doesn't take up space, it can sit right on their desk. It's not this huge notebook, which is what we've used in the past. So let's kind of show you real quick what it looks like.
JJ, so this is not an
No.
Apple application?
No, it's not. This is
created, custom made?
Yep, something that the teachers that I've sat down and helped them create. It kind of takes a long time to do because you have to manually type in everything.
Sure.
And if the schedule changes, obviously you need to update it daily. So just with everything, with the kids using the apps and the teachers using the apps, there is some prep time put into it. You just can't pick it up and go with that. That's the purpose of the lab and checking it out, being able to get them into students' hands and playing with them, teaching them how to use it, teaching the teachers how to use it to meet the needs of their students. So I'm just going to show you real quick. Writing, math, recess, lunch, the day is laid out based on the calendar of the school. The neat thing is you can program into the daily schedule alerts to go off. So if you have a student that has a hard time staying on task or following their own schedule without assistance, they can have this on their desk, either with their headphones on where you can have the volume at a lower level where it doesn't disrupt everything. But a timer will go off 5 minutes before that activity needs to end so they can start to gather their materials or help them transition into the next activity. Let's see if I can find one that has that prompt. This says math, and then there's some fine wording underneath it. It has the start time, and you may see the things that are scheduled for an alert to go off. It will usually say 5 minutes before the end time. Small alert will go off, and that, again, that lets the student know that hey, it's time to stop what you're doing. If you need help, raise your hand. Your teacher can come help you. But the main thing is having this schedule on their desk is to create or promote their independence in their work skills, so they're not so heavily relied on adult assistants or their teacher's assistants to help them navigate their day. So that's just a real quick look at how we can use the iPods to help students with disabilities with navigating their schedule.
Do they then have their own iPod?
The teachers that we use these for, they check out the same 4 iPods every day. And it's just kind of a given through the staff that this teacher will have these 4 iPods checked out every day. So,
That's it.
yeah. Yeah. And we also don't, well, it's kind of tricky. We don't sync them up to what we call R2D2 because then the schedule gets put on everything. So we're kind of, takes a little bit of navigating, but we figure out a system that works, and it seems to be helping the students out with that.
Are we unique with this, or do other schools do this as well?
I have not heard, I know some other SLPs that I have talked to have tried them on their own. They certainly don't have the number that we have here in Chagrin. You know, we're fortunate enough to have 30, and I think we just got 10 more newer ones. And I mean, to have that number, it's nice. You can have some out for speech, or teachers can have their own 2 or 3 that they need to use in the classroom, plus you have extras to go and use in a regular classroom for lessons. So I would say we're pretty unique to this area in terms of the number that we have and the availability of them. I know I've been to a couple conferences at the state level, and they're really promoting a lot of things that we're talking about today. So, good question.
Thanks.
And what do you do once you go to intermediate school? Do you have the same, do you have anything like that there once the kids transition off?
You're going to see the next, after us, the next
Is it
slide.
after us?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to show you one. I'm going to show you a couple more things. Okay. Again, this is a part of the regular software that is on all the iPods. The difference between the one that I'm showing you now, this is one of the newer generation iPod Touches that we just got. They have a built-in microphone, and the ones that you guys have do not have built-in microphones. So at Gurney, what we have is external microphones that we plug into the headphone jack. And this is the actual icon is on yours if you just wanted to look at it and see what it does. It's called the voice memo. And this is a tool that our reading intervention specialists use, as well as our grade level special ed intervention specialists use, primarily with students that have difficulty with reading. What it will allow you to do, whoops, too many buttons. It's essentially a fancy tape recorder. You can read into it lengthy passages. I don't know the exact recording time, but it's long enough where you can read a couple pages. The intervention specialists use it to help students monitor their rate of reading, how they pay attention to punctuation when they're reading. It looks at their just overall fluency. So it's nice to give them that immediate feedback that you don't get sometimes if you're in a large group, if you're working through a textbook, so they can talk into this, read their passage. When it's done, they can hit the play button, and it starts to play back to them. So it gives them immediate feedback. They can sit there with their intervention specialist to see how they did. It's instant. There's not a delay. They can kind of self-guide themselves, self-teach, and it's a great tool. So we'll continue to use this. The last app is an application that I use pretty frequently for speech, and it is called Pocket SLP. So what I will have you look for on the screen, the icon is a green, looks like a green pocket, like a shirt pocket. It says SLP on it. So you click on that, and once you get to this screen, you'll see a little plus sign in the upper left corner. You want to press on that plus sign. And once you're there, it will open up to a screen that has all the target sounds that you could ever want to work with or on when you're in speech therapy. So just for demonstration purposes, is everyone at that screen? Okay. But we'll pick a common sound. We'll pick the S sound. So just press the S letter. Should get a red check on it. And after that, press done. And what you see here, in speech therapy is one of our main materials when we're working with students that have articulation difficulties. You'll have either playing cards that have all these target sounds on it, or you get this big book with black and white pictures that you have to make a ton of photocopies with. These are, you put this book on this device. So it's very cool. You have everything easily there. You're going to see a couple icons here. I hear you guys hitting buttons. Well, so they're working on the S sound. So you'll see the highlighted arrow. That means that this is the S sound in the initial position of words. If you press the downward button, it'll work on the S sound in the middle of words. Whistle. At the other arrow pointing the opposite way, the target sound is at the end of words. Lettuce. Okay? You'll see a couple up on the top bar. There's 4 buttons that are pretty cool, and I did a lot of pre-teaching with my speech kids before we started working on these, and this is to help give them feedback on how they're doing with their sound productions and drills during our lessons. So we created some hand signals. So if they are working on the S sound in the beginning of the word and they say circle and I give them a thumbs up, they press the green button with the red check. That means it was accurate. So let's all press that button. You might hear a ding, you might hear a whistle or a sound effect going off. That's just another reinforcement. The red button means that it wasn't a good production. We have to try that again. So let's go ahead and hit the red. And it'll go on to another picture, sand. Let's say it's a close approximation, so we'll kind of give them a shaky hand. We'll give that a yellow rating. Okay? So those are all things that the student can do. And as a therapist, I monitor how they're scoring. I can hear the feedback. The kids like it. It gives them, it's something different. We don't use them all the time. Just like anything, they can get burnt out or tired of doing the same thing. But it's a nice thing to help break up the days of paper and pencil tasks or black and white worksheets. A cool thing I just wanted to touch on before I wrap up here, you see a little I button. Go ahead and press that. And then you get this cool looking mouth. So this is to help the students look at a visual of how their mouth and tongue looks like when they're to say the S sound. To produce an appropriate S sound, your tongue tip goes behind your front teeth. So this gives them a visual. If you hit the microphone button, you hear the sound. Okay. So you guys get the idea. There's one more thing that I want to show you on this. If you hit the palette view, this is imagine you're looking through the top of your head to the top of your mouth. These circles right here are red circles, and these help identify the students where tongue placement goes when you're working on sound. So the red circles say, hey, your tongue tip goes right behind your front teeth on this little ridge, and the arrows represents the airflow. So your tongue goes there, and the air goes straight out your mouth. And this is another visual, and it provides that auditory feedback for the students and a visual model to go with it. I had you guys click the done button. And one more time to get out of that, so you're back at the sound cards. And the thing that I like the best about this is this little button called the summary button. Go ahead and hit that. And that's probably not, you can't see it real clear, but it gives you percentages of how the kids did during their speech session that day. So again, the kids really like seeing that. They like to see how they did that day. In a perfect world, you could set up private email accounts and you could email these results to parents or teachers, but we can't do it here. So, but it's easy for me. I can keep track of it in my therapy logbook. I can write down their percentages that day. Kids get a chance to see how they did, where they need to improve. It's immediate, and that's it. So, thank you so much.
Thank you. Go
ahead.
iPod grade the students on their speech?
No, that's the one drawback with it. You still need that trained ear to hear it, and that's where the initial training goes in with the hand signals. Yeah. So, for example, if I'm having a session, I'll give them, the feedback that they need to do that. So, thank you.
4 questions. I'm going to turn it over to the next step at the intermediate school. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rachel. Good evening, everyone. I am very excited for you to hear this presentation tonight on how we use the netbooks at the intermediate school. So it's just a little bigger instrument than the iPod Touch, is a little bit different, and we're very excited about them. Last year, when Mr. Hunt alerted us of this opportunity to pilot netbooks one-on-one at 6th grade at the intermediate school, I have to tell you, I was very excited about it, and at the same time, I was a little bit nervous. Of course, you start thinking about what a unique opportunity this is for staff and students, and you get very excited. But then also, as a building principal, you start thinking of all the potential problems and digital citizenship and, all those other things. So, the unknown can be a little bit scary. So we went last spring to Beechwood Middle School, Corey, Nancy, and I, and they are using laptops one-to-one with students. And it was a fabulous place. And we got to really see how it could be used. And I have to tell you, not only just seeing that, but then hearing Nancy and Corey and their enthusiasm and creativity and all the ideas that they were having in addition to what they were seeing at Beechwood kind of made all my fears go away. So tonight, you're going to see some examples and hear some examples of how our 6th graders use these netbooks and what they like about them. So I thought I would share with you just for a minute what I like as a building principal about these netbooks. And basically it comes down to this. By using this technology, students are able to, I think, further explore their creativity than they would without them, express their individuality, which you're going to see in some of these presentations. The reflection that they do on their learning is at a higher level than it would be without the netbooks. Improve skills, obviously, that they're going to need for the rest of their lives using this technology. Teachers are better able to motivate students to learn. I just was in Nancy's classroom the other day for an official observation, and students were all using the netbooks. Of course, they were on task, highly motivated, and very eager to learn. And also, really, is kind of what you saw today at Gurney. For the first time, well, maybe not the first time, but on one of those rare occasions, we're actually in schools keeping up with the technology outside of schools and keeping up with things rather than lagging years behind. So what kids are using at home, they're also able to use here at school, which I think is very refreshing. So I'd like to thank Mr. Thompson and you for the opportunity to use these netbooks. I'd like to thank Mr. Hunt for his vision for us to have these netbooks. I'd like to thank Abby Baker, Mike Russ, and Mike Doherty for their technical and educational support. You know, Abby's worked very closely with Corey and Nancy and really carved out what we're doing here. And finally, I'd like to thank Corey and Nancy for their willingness to try something new and absolutely run with it. So at this time, I'm going to turn the presentation over to them, and you're not only going to hear from them, but 4 of our superstar 6th graders.
Hi, my name is Daniel Berlin, and I'm in Mrs. McNamara's 6th grade science class. And one thing I like about the netbooks is that we can use them on a daily basis because they're always there in the cabinet. And I don't really know many 6th graders who can claim that. So far in the school year, we've done several different things with our netbooks, including our weeklies, which I have mine up here. And this is my social studies page. And we are currently studying the countries of Africa and memorizing them for a test we just got on Friday. And we can also do other learning programs like EDU 2.0 on our netbooks, which is really fun. And we can also keep track of our notes on Google Docs and do collaborative projects. So I think they're really fun. And there's almost nothing we can't do on our netbooks. Like they have the webcams where you can do like videos and stuff, but we haven't used them yet, but I'm sure we will. And I come home with a story every day from science class. So I hope you enjoyed my sample of my work. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Ellie Neal.
Hello, my name is Ellie Neal and I am in Mrs. Cameron's 6th grade science class. My favorite thing about the netbooks is that every student can create his or her own creative work and have fun at the same time. This makes it a more fun learning environment, whereas in other classes, each student must create the same work. One thing in my Weebly that I did was provide basic information as well as details about each class. I added pictures, games, and explanations to make each page more interesting. This way, more people will want to look at my Weebly. I can also personalize my site by adding things I do outside of school, too. This makes it more fun to work on my Weebly. I'm really enjoying these netbooks and the different educational opportunities they bring. This is my science page. I have a picture and then a little explanation and then kind of the title of the thing we're studying. I have links too. If you click on some of the words, you may not know like what a daphnia is.
I just want to say something about Ellie. Ellie is a digital pioneer in that she really paved the way. She was the first one to in my classes, to add links to the terms in her sites and to embed the widgets that you saw. If you scroll to the top, you can see the little spider and the stingray. And what that involves is an embed code. So when she figured that out, the other kids were really interested, and now they know what an embed code is. So with an embed code, you can embed any digital work that you do, any digital presentation or project. And so they were able to apply that. But she became a student leader and a student educator with her fearless problem solving as to how to get to school things on our site. Kids start out with a blank slate. There is nothing on it. So everything that you see up there, all these students have created.
Next student is Grant Wilson.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Grant Wilson and I'm in Mrs. Chagrin's 6th grade class, and I'm here to share my website blog. I like using the netbooks because we got a chance to express what we were feeling in our classes. I also like them because I got to share what we did outside of the classes. I'm seeing the 7th Harry Potter movie on my YouTube channel. Some things that I put on my website were what I learned in science and all academic classes, like projects and other things that were fun. Using the netbook was better than using a pencil and paper because we all love screens and the sound and the light from the screen of the World Wide Web. Then we get on one of our websites like EDU 2.0, Scrapblog, or our Weeblies. Our Weeblies are our websites that we made with nothing but imagination and collaboration and a lot of creativity. Here's my Weebly. And I drew these for my language arts class. We're supposed to design a superhero. So, yeah.
Let me just say one thing about Grant. Grant has an incredible voice on Weebly. when you read his writing, it's just like talking to Grant. It's given him a voice that he may not have normally had. He has a very conversational style in his writing. It's very engaging.
And our last student presenter is Kate Weston.
Hi, my name is Kate, and I'm in Mrs. McNamara's 6th grade science and social studies class. My favorite thing about the netbooks is doing presentation projects. We use a lot of different sites to choose our presentations to be on. There's Scrapblog, Bubble S, and PowerPoint, and a lot of other things. We do a lot of other interactive sites to learn about different topics in both subjects.
With the netbooks, learning is personalized. In addition to the Weebly's, which is what we call the name for this particular site, the students use EDU 2.0, Google Docs, their student emails to share them with each other, and then to use the Google Docs for collaboration and note-taking. The students are independent learners, fearless problem solvers when it comes to trying to get this interesting and innovative technology onto their sites, or just to be able to use it and present it to the class. They will create a to-do or a photo story or a voice thread or a Prezi and use that to share their knowledge with other people. When students leave 6th grade, they're going to take these skills and their knowledge with them. So it's an invaluable experience. Students are able to share their work, reflect on their work. They are also able to see the work and the reflections of the other students. And when students have an opportunity to document their progress and reflect on their learning, that cognitive process of reflection deepens their learning, which is our goal and our passion. So it's really, really cool to see it, and to be able to see the students see that as well. Our next project is to hopefully introduce the students to Google Reader, which is an application of Google where they can choose a topic and receive updates of current events and publications about the particular topic, choose a topic for independent research, and create a project that they can share with other students. I know I speak for Corey. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It has changed the way that learning happens in our classroom. The one-to-one program has increased my learning also, so it's been an exciting and really, it's nice to be on the cutting edge of technology, which I really feel like we are, and for our students as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you.